Before World War II, most Aleuts had never been away from their islands, but they knew America offered more than this.
That was my mother's vision of a dream home. She had a nice yard in front and swimming pool, and she liked the spaciousness of the house itself. That was tragic, to end up in a place like Thunder Bay. Yeah. There were no dream homes there.
News about life in the camps was being carefully censored under the first War Powers Act, but complaints were finally beginning to circulate outside the camps.
Doctors and nurses and newspaper journalists and others were visiting these camps, and they said, "What's going on here?" For one thing, the draft board wanted to register the Aleuts. The United States Employment Service wanted to employ them in Juneau and places because there was a labor shortage. At first, the agents resisted it, but then they couldn't carry it. They couldn't carry it off. We were fighting a war against fascism.
A conference was called in Washington, D.C. to discuss the Aleut problem. Government lawyers concluded the Department of Interior had no legal authority to confine the Aleuts.
They weren't afraid anymore to just go.
Yeah, they moved from Thunder Bay to Juneau.
I was 15 when I got my first job in Juneau. Was in Percy's Cafe as a dishwasher. $5 for one day. That was good enough. Then they had a fire there after 3 weeks, and I lose my job. It all closed up. Then I looked into the newspaper, and they wanted somebody to work in the governor's house. I got my job there.
The ones that weren't drafted start going to Juneau. After they worked 2 weeks or so, they sent for their family. And I was just kind of upset because here my husband is, I don't know where he was. He can't do that to me. He's in service. And I had no choice. I had to stay there. I was going to have my third child.
It was a big educational process that took place from there on. People learned that really they weren't being treated as full citizens.
The U.S. Interior Department, which had administered the Pribilof Islands like a virtual prison colony for 80 years, wasn't about to give up control. In 1941, the year before the Aleut evacuation, the annual seal slaughter delivered $2.4 million to the U.S. Treasury. In 1942, the year of the evacuation, the operation lost $1 million. Now the Interior Department wanted to make up its losses. Problem was, the Aleuts didn't want to go. The SEALs were in a combat zone, and an entire summer of sealing wouldn't amount to a month's wages in their newfound jobs.
The people who were working in Juneau were told that if you don't go, we won't take you back on the Pribilof. You'll lose the house that we were allowing you to live in. If you don't come and work with us during the summer, we'll just disown you.
The sealing gang finally assembled included 116 evacuees and 12 Aleuts on active military duty, furloughed for the seal harvest.
Pribilof Evacuation Camp, Funter, Alaska, Thursday, May 6th. As we drew away from the dock, a choir of native voices began a farewell chant in Russian, which was answered by those remaining on shore. Many of the women were crying their farewells, never having experienced the parting with their loved ones. It was a sight not soon to be forgotten.
Sealing resumed in the Pribilofs on June 10, 1943, with phenomenal success.
I remember the largest kill that ever was made up there was over 5,800 some odd on St. Paul Island. And I got 153 out of that bunch.
Times 3 cents or 5 cents, huh?
Yeah. Nickel piece. I think it was the hardest work imaginable.
Commercial sealing in the Pribilofs ended in 1984. Pressure from wildlife conservation groups and declining consumer demand shut down the washroom and the salt house. But in 1943, the U.S. sealing operation was unrivaled.
Pretend it's skin. Take the skin and put it right here like that. Take your rubbering knife. Okay, everybody start rubbering. And then you turn it over. Put it up in the middle and start from middle and all the way down. Everybody was tired, sweating. You could see the roll from right here to over there, just steaming like people sweating out.
We went out early in the morning. We took pride in what we did, you know, and there was people assigned to different tasks out there. I was assigned when I first started to be a watchman. I watched the big herd of seals that were rounded up.
An experienced crew could stun, kill, and skin a seal in little more than a minute. Federal agents supervised the Aleuts in partnership with the employees of the Falk Fur Company of Missouri, which acted as a wholesaler of the seal skins.
The government and the Falk Fur Company, they balance, you know. They talk to each other and stuff like that. You know. They have respect for the agent up here, you know, something like that.
He was a pretty hard man to talk to. He used to be out there with it because he's an agent. If you make a little mistake in what you're doing, boy, that guy used to just jump on us.
Well, there was a lot of, you know, talk between the blubbers. They talked to each other and tease each other, and, you know, about how many skins they were getting. And
some of those temporary men, they were from the Aleutian Islands. Well, sometime I used to talk to them in Aleut and say, hey, I want to
you got all the small skins, and I'm getting all the big skins. You know, the tough ones were the big ones. They were very stringy.
That summer saw an all-time record harvest. Some 125,000 skins taken. The agents were jubilant, but reluctantly paid the Aleut sealers.
My share from here, from a sealing division, for the summer was $45. 45 bucks. I made that in 2 weeks at the dishwasher in First's Cafe.
Just like slaves, you know. They use us just like slaves.
Worse for the men, a deadly epidemic of influenza was sweeping the camps. Their families were suffering. The unceasing toll of disease and death was recorded in official camp logs.
Thursday, July 8th. St. George evacuation camp. Every man except the cook, the priest, and I have the flu. Monday, July 12th. Still having the flu. Friday, July 16th, about 5 a.m. Alexandra, the wife of Isidore Nestorov, died. One man helped build a casket. 2 men dug a grave.
My mom had our little Sergei, baby Sergei, we call him. And he was 3 months old when he got double pneumonia. And there was the government nurse there, sent him back home with my mom, saying nothing they could do for him. So my mom took him to the midwives. She told him to keep him warm, but where we lived, they only had a 55-gallon drum to warm up something like a 40 by 80 cannery. My mom and the midwives tried their best to get him healthy, but they couldn't. And he just cried, and he died in my mom's arms, you know. And they went and got the priest. The priest came over and gave a blessing to the child, and next day the carpenters were down at the shop making a little coffin for him, and then those were the hardest childhood days we had.